If you want a free trial at The Athletic, and not 20%, not 30%, not 40%, but 50% off your subscription, head over to theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball. They have a collection of the industry's best, including former Grizzlies frontman John Hollinger, old director of research for the Bucks Seth Partnow, who wrote about this very topic recently. The Athletic is ad-free. You can customize your feed in the app so you never miss out, and you help support this channel by signing up at theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball for your free trial today. For most of NBA history, team building has followed one basic principle: stack stars next to each other and surround them with the right role players. This held true in the 1980s when Philly paired back-to-back MVP winners Moses Malone and Julius Erving, and it held true in 2010 when Miami formed the Heatles. More importantly, the offensive construction of just about every good team was based on having multiple points of attack. Even the 2011 Mavericks, one of the few squads to win with only a single All-Star, asked Jason Kidd to initiate offense, while Jason Terry took on a secondary playmaking and scoring role. Dirk Nowitzki was a volume scorer, but not a volume playmaker. He didn't carve up defenses possession after possession with buckets or dimes. Contrast that with many of today's brightest stars, who both score and playmake at historically high levels. And to understand where this kind of extreme heavy lifting came from, we have to go all the way back in time to 1955.
1955?
Bob Cousy led the NBA in assists that year, powering Boston's offense to the highest estimated efficiency in the league. Cousy also finished second in scoring, making him the first dual-threat quarterback in league history, a kind of centralized hub where one player is responsible for most of the critical decision-making. We can ballpark Cousy's heavy lifting by looking at his offensive load, a stat that estimates how often a player is directly involved in the offense. In 55, Cousy either scored, turned it over, or set up a score on an estimated 44% of his possessions. Elgin Baylor was the first player with an offensive load above 45, although Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, and even Jerry West predominantly contributed by scoring back then. Only Oscar Robertson followed in Cousy's footsteps as someone scoring and creating at high volume. It wasn't until 1973 that a star carried an offensive load of at least 50, when Tiny Archibald became the only player ever to lead the league in scoring and assists. Tiny's team only finished 10th that year in efficiency, so this season was merely a footnote in history, not a trendsetter. By the 80s, lead ball handlers started carrying heavier burdens again as the league thinned out due to expansion. It was less common to have 2 or 3 All-Stars, and less common to have to feed dominant big men. This reliance on a single perimeter-oriented centerpiece meant a talent like Michael Jordan would do almost everything. Jordan set a new standard for heavy lifting in 1987 with an offensive load over 54, but notice how scoring-centric Michael was then. Only 18% of his load came from playmaking, whereas prior heavy lifters were more balanced. Tiny and Oscar had about 38% of their involvement like this come from playmaking, and Cousy 34%. Around that same period, Magic Johnson started running Showtime for the Lakers, only with the highest playmaking volume the league had ever seen. Magic's offensive load didn't really spike until Kareem finally faded away, and in 1990 he posted a load of 52, with nearly half of that coming from his preternatural playmaking. The first full-season player to join the 55 load club was Allen Iverson in 2002, who was closer to a young Jordan, shouldering an enormous scoring burden. Jordan, it should be noted, did shift his game more toward playmaking, and in 1989 and 1990, he posted similar offensive loads, only with about 30% of his involvement coming from playmaking. In 2007, Steve Nash became the first member of the 50 Load Club to contribute more through playmaking than scoring, and the reasons why are integral to what is happening today. Phoenix's offense lapped the field in the regular season and the playoffs, and while Mike D'Antoni's Suns were nicknamed 7 seconds or less for their transition scoring, they were actually built on a spread pick and roll game that revolved entirely around Nash. save for the occasional Amari Stoudemire post-up. The major difference between Nash's Suns and other previous heavy lifters like Jordan or Magic was the presence of three-point shooters. Phoenix set a record in 2005 by making 796 threes that year, a record they would break in the following season by hitting 837. And all of that leads us to LeBron James. In his first go-around in Cleveland, James never had another star teammate, and so the Cavs finally erupted in 2009 by surrounding him with shooters and letting LeBron captain the ship. He became the third member of the 55 Load Club that year, winning the first of 4 MVP trophies next to Mo Williams, Delonte West, Boobie Gibson, and Wally Szczerbiak. And that LeBron ball in Cleveland was as efficient as his offense was in Miami in 2011 next to stars like Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. When LeBron returned to Northeast Ohio, the Cavs extended that model by spacing Kevin Love to the three-point line and becoming the first team in league history to make over 1,000 three-pointers in a season en route to a 2016 title. LeBron ball proved nearly unstoppable, and that same blueprint has given rise to James Harden's Rockets, an even more extreme version of the style. In 2017, Harden crossed the 60 load mark using this approach, taking on Nash-like levels of playmaking with Jordan-like levels of scoring volume. Zooming out, we can see the entire picture clearly. The egalitarianism of the 1970s faded in the 80s as heavier lifting grew prevalent after expansion. The three-point revolution has caused another boom this decade, and a similar pattern holds for even more involved centerpieces, as it's now normal for heavy lifters to post loads above 45. While crossing the 50% mark was almost unheard of until the 90s, there's been a spike in the heaviest of heavy lifters in the last decade, who are now required to score and playmake if they play on the ball. Before this season, only 3 players ever carried an offensive load above 57. Russell Westbrook, who posted a cartoonish load of 74 in 2017, James Harden, and Dwayne Wade. But in 2020, there are now 5 players above that mark, with Kyrie Irving just below it in the 11 games he's played. All of these players, including Irving, are insanely high-level scorers who are also the best volume playmakers in the league. The blueprint is to surround these scorers with shooting threats, create space for them to operate, and then punish defenses who help off those shooters. In short, the league is embracing this heliocentric style where role players orbit around the gravity of a supergiant star. And there are a few simple reasons for this. First, embracing the three-point shot has created space, so it's easier to play through the best perimeter threat every time down the court. Second, the economics of finding three-point shooters is more practical than star hunting or achieving that perfect team chemistry. Shooters are commodities. Find a single star, and the pieces fall in place. And third, this philosophy simplifies the game. It relies on one player to make reads and for role players to finish them in a predictable manner. It's basically basketball's version of football's spread offense. By the way, if you're wondering whether things can continue to trend upward, Harden has shown us something even more extreme. When Westbrook heads to the bench this year, Harden's offensive load is over 77, redefining the idea of a one-man offense. Now, at this point it's natural to wonder, do these star systems really work? Can you win with one player doing that much heavy lifting? Well, I'm glad you asked, because no player has ever won a title with an offensive load above 55. Winning teams are historically more balanced. Heck, only 3 players have ever won a title with a load above 50: Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Steph Curry. And Curry is singularly unique in how involved he is with his off-ball shot creation. Even Jordan and LeBron slightly curtailed their involvement when paired next to better teammates. Besides, these are 3 of the greatest offensive players ever. They make systems succeed more than systems make them succeed. With so many stars doing so much in 2020, something is likely to give. Among the top betting favorites to win the title, only Philadelphia and the Clippers don't showcase these heliocentric offenses. And notice that this style isn't just about having a single star. Anthony Davis still carries a large load for LA, it's just that LeBron makes a majority of the decisions out there. So, I don't know if this style is only reserved for playmaking unicorns, or if every young prospect moving forward will master pick and roll passes and kickouts. But what I do know is that teams today are succeeding by building around dual threat stars, and today's centerpieces are doing more heavy lifting than ever. Once again, get that free week at The Athletic and 50% off the subscription price for you or a loved one maybe for the holidays. theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball. It's a great way to support this channel, and Patreon subscribers have also been supporting this channel since the beginning. They get extra features, all the proprietary stats you see in these videos. We have a Discord server to talk hoops, and way more. You can check it out over at patreon.com/thinkingbasketball. Hope you're enjoying the holidays, and as always, I hope that you are having a great day.